Okay. Okay. So welcome. Um, so we were at verse number 38 of second chapter. So I'll just do a small recap of um, till now. So basically, the first chapter is where Arjuna and Krishna they have arrived at the battlefield and the battle is about to start. But and then Arjuna says to Krishna, "Take me in the middle of the battlefield. Let me see who all have come." And when he sees all his um, relations, sorry, when he sees all his relations, his father, so his people like his fathers, his grandfather, teacher, his brothers, father-in-laws, maternal uncles, and brothers and friends and well-wishers, and his sons and others, friends' sons, and then he sees grandsons also. So seeing all that, the whole family has arrived over there, and he becomes morose. He becomes sad that they have come here to fight. This is not any function or picnic or festival or some marriage purpose that we have arrived here. We have arrived here to fight. And it is not like they are fighting, everybody is fighting on Arjuna's side. No, there are many who are fighting in the opposite side. So his own family members were going to get killed. Seeing this, he becomes under stress and he says that, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I think it is better to it's better to give up these arms or go away, you know. And he's not ready to fight. He gives a list of reasons why he doesn't want to fight. And then at the same time, he understands that these are the reasons. One is compassion, that he feels very compassionate to all those who are going to die over there. And then he says, even if I win, then all these people will be dead, and who will be there with me after I winning? So doesn't make sense. Then he says that there'll be destruction of family. The family, all the elders will die. Then what will happen to the youngsters? Who will direct the youngsters? And he says killing is itself very bad and sinful, and I don't want to take part in it. And at the same time, he knows that he has to perform his duty, but uh, but he's not able to do that. We talked about this example of policeman where the policeman has to catch the criminal, but the criminal happens to be his brother. So the policeman will say, oh, should I catch or not catch? So that's the same situation Arjuna is in. If I catch my brother, my parents will be unhappy. My brother's family will be unhappy. His wife will be unhappy. What will happen to his children? All these kinds of questions are coming. So he's thinking what to do. So in the second chapter, Krishna gives knowledge. And first he starts that whatever we think, whatever we do, we should do in this perspective, where we know that we are not the body, but the soul. And the soul is passing through the body. And at the time of death, it passes to a completely new body. So from this perspective, take decisions. Don't take decisions from other perspective. Take decisions from this perspective. This is the knowledge. And then he says that the action that anybody does, he has to be binded with it. Right? If somebody slaps a policeman, he's binded by that action, and then he has to get the reaction. He will be caught or punished or whatever. He cannot escape. Similarly, the soul He should choose such actions by which the reaction, the following action that happens, the following response that happens is favorable for the soul, not just the body, but the soul. And therefore, Krishna goes more deeper into it. And he talks about the soul, and around the soul is the subtle body, which is like software. And then there is a gross body, which is physical body. And the software is interacting with the physical body, and the driver is the soul. Okay. I always put this famous picture here, my favorite one. Where, it is very clear that the soul is driving the body and the super soul is present over there. And the body is just a machine. Eyes are like camera, heart is like a pump. So Krishna says you put an action in such a way that the soul is benefited. So try to understand the mechanics behind karma and all that, by which you will be able to perform duty. So first thing is says that don't give up your duty, else it is sinful and disgraceful. Suppose we talked about this example of the policeman. Now, if the policeman doesn't do his duty, then he will lose his job, right? He will be prosecuted. He will be suspended. So Krishna says, don't do that. Don't give up your duty. Now, there are two ways to do duty. So we read from 31 to 37, which is called as Sakama Karma. Sakama Karma means do that duty with the desire for the fruit or the result. Okay, I will get my salary, therefore I will work. That is called as you have a desire for that work. I mean, what are you going to get out of it? Therefore, you will do that duty. But Krishna says better than that is Nishkam Karma, which we are going to study from today. Nishkam Karma is you do it without the desire for the result. Just do it for the duty's sake. Just like army, doctor, police, mother, father, they perform their duty just for the sake of the duty. Some get salary, but it is not like they were doing it for the salary. The doctor treats the patient and he gets that fees, whatever, 200, 100 rupees, whatever, or 500 rupees, whatever today's rate that is going on. But he's concerned for the medical health of the patient. The army person, definitely he gets some salary, but he's giving his life. Do you think for the salary or for some Paramveer Chakra or for anything? No, right? He's doing his duty to protect. And in that, even if he loses his life, he's ready to do that. So he doesn't really does it for the salary. 31st, if he doesn't get the salary, he's not going to defend the terrorist. It doesn't happen like that, right? He doesn't care. So he doesn't have that desire. So Krishna says that is even better than that. Okay. So let's get into today's verse. And we'll get. Okay. Sukha dukhe samay kritva labho labho jaya jayo tatho yudhyaya yujjasva nainam papam avyapsasi. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by doing so you shall never incur sin. Now, why we have to do this kind of work? Where we do it for the sake of duty. Because one will not incur sin. There won't be a reaction which is very binding. Okay. It is not very binding reaction. Now that's how the karma works. Okay. Lord Krishna now directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat. Don't think about all these things. Just do your duty in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness. So there is no reaction to the material activities. Okay, let's get to our purport. See here, if you see the tree gives fruit, but does it eat for itself? No, right? The river gives water, but it keeps for himself? No. Similarly, the rain, does it the cloud, it gives rain but doesn't withhold with him, right? So that is called a nishkam karma, doing it for others people's benefit, not for personal benefit. Now, not for personal benefit means whether the personal benefit is there or not there, we don't care. Whether it is a happiness or a distress for personal thing, or it's a victory or defeat, or if it's a profit or loss. If it's for personal thing, we don't really matter. Now, the higher than Nishkam karma is to do it for the sake of Krishna. I'm doing this for Krishna. Now, that we will study as we go. But I hope this understands, right? The selfless duty. That is what is Krishna saying. You do for selfless. Like a policeman, if he saves somebody, he says, I was just doing my duty. Right? So for that is even better. Then one is not confused of his duty. One who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to reaction, good or bad. So if one is selfish, I want something from it, then definitely the reaction will come, good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obliged to anyone, nor his debtor to anyone, as one in the ordinary course of activities. It is said that one who has completely surrendered onto Krishna, Mukunda, giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor, nor he is obliged to anyone, nor the demigods, nor the sages, nor the people in general, nor kinsmen, nor humanity, nor forefathers. That is the indirect hint given by Krishna to Arjuna in this verse, and the matter will be more clearly explained in the following verses. Any question or comment?
Sir, why should we do our duty? Like in today's world, don't you think we are naturally bound to have some expectations, like when we do our duty?
Right. So we should at least do our duty, for the result. That is the minimum thing. Not doing the duty is terrible. Meaning that is not even sane. That is not being intelligent. That is self-destructive to not do the duty. It is actually self-destructive. If a policeman doesn't do his duty, if the army person doesn't do its duty, if the teacher doesn't do their duty, then then it is then it is very condemnable, right? So Krishna is saying at least do the duty for the result. Okay, you're going to get salary, you're going to get something out of it, so do the duty. In that, what happens is, whatever the result be, victory, defeats, happiness, this, that, will affect the person because he was doing it for that sake. And that thing will affect him because he's so focused on that. You're getting?
So, sir, like that, there won't be any end goal. Like you say, the purpose or something. The purpose won't be there anymore. So, if I
Hmm.
want to do something and the end goal
So,
would be the
yeah,
meaningless for me.
right. So Krishna is saying, you this first thing is there, na sakama. Sakama means enjoying mentality, because after I get this I will enjoy. That mentality is very painful at the end, because not everything becomes a success. If it's a failure, then people miserably cry. So Krishna is saying, be detached. Don't think of victory, failure. Be detached. If victory comes, then don't get too much elated. This is one of the verses that he's going to say in future. That if victory comes, don't get so much happiness, and jump up and here and down and there and throw hundreds of parties. No. Be equilibrium. Be equanimous. And if sadness comes, if failure comes, if distress comes, that also then also you tolerate. So you tolerate both happiness and you tolerate distress, and then you do, and with that you do your duty. Then you will be peaceful, even in performing duties which are very difficult, like catching one's own brother in a criminal activity. Getting? So Krishna is saying the goal, you make it higher. Don't keep it this simple. Um,
Okay, yes, yes. I got
yeah.
it now.
So, small child, you give him, say, 2000 rupees note in one hand and a chocolate in another hand. And you say, what you want? What the child will say, oh, I want this chocolate. The child's goal is that I got something and I'll be happy with it. And he doesn't understand the value of 2000 rupee note, which can buy him hundreds of chocolate, right? So
Yes,
Krishna is
yes.
saying, Krishna is saying, don't go after small selfishness, you know, and then don't be like a child, mature, and your goal should be irrespective of happiness and distress, victory and failure. It should be irrespective of that. Now you understand?
Yes, I do now. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So one will do, but one is not too focused. Oh, what I got out of it. No, one is not too focused. Okay. At least he will say, I did my duty, even though in a failure. And in a success, I did my duty and this is what I got. Okay. There is much more clarification in the further verses. We will get to it. Esha te bihita sankhe buddhi yogatam imam shunu buddhya yukto yah partha karma bandham praharsashi. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it to you in terms of fruitive results. Oh, Sinapranta, when you act in such knowledge, you can be free from yourself from the bondage of work. See, any activity we perform, there will be some bondage to it. Like, like a soldier, he goes and fights on the battlefield. Like Indian army soldier, they go and fight and they kill the terrorists. After killing, what does Indian government do? They garland him. Thank you. They give him Paramveer Chakra or Mahavir Chakra or whatever. They promote him in the army. From captain, he'll become something else. Brigadier, colonel, whatever. Now, the same soldier goes to his home and fights with his neighbor and kills the neighbor. Now, what will the Indian government do? Can you tell me?
They will suspend him and they'll
They'll
put him in
arrest
jail.
him. They'll arrest him. And then he will protest and he'll say, I'm doing the same killing. I killed the terrorist in there in the north, and I'm killing my neighbor. It is the same thing. Why are you so disturbed and why are you catching me? Why are you putting me in the prison? Then the Indian government will say, that thing that you did by killing the terrorists, you did it on our order. But this killing of neighbor is done for your own selfish purpose. Therefore, you are to be punished. So Krishna is saying, rise above that. Rise above selfishness and go for selflessness. And then do your duty. And then whatever comes on his regard. See, we do our duty, then, things may go things may go favorable to us, or things may not go favorable to us, right? This is true, right? In both the case, we are not so much affected by it, because our focus was, I want to do this work. Okay. So Krishna is saying refocus. And then happiness and distress, victory and failure, they won't affect you so much. You won't be carried away. Hmm? And then definitely for good hard work, there is a good result. It is that part of the story is always there. But just because I want to get good result, that attachment to that goal should be very reduced. Hmm? Because if you don't get, like, sometimes people, they pass and they don't come first, they come second rank, and they become so dejected. I had to come first, I had to come first. And there are cases where the student has committed suicide. Now the failing person will say, अरे बाबा तू पास तो हो गया, now second rank mila tujhe. You got second rank. Now just because you didn't get first, you're so much carried away by that grief. So Krishna is saying, make realistic goals. Hmm? And realistic goals should not be so much like we be attached to it. Okay, because life brings us anything to us. Therefore, perform your duty. That you should focus on. Result, it will come. Hmm? According to Nirukti or Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. He said, I will lose my own kinsmen, I will lose my own family members if I fight. So he was very selfish in thinking that way. He was selfish. It's like, that policeman was thinking, if I catch my brother, then my parents will be unhappy, and I myself will be unhappy, because at home my brother is there with me, and we eat together, we sleep together, we dance together, we run together. Now if I catch him and put him in jail, I won't be able to do all these things. So if some policeman is thinking like this, then it doesn't make sense, right? So that policeman is very selfish. So don't be selfish. That is the first primary thing. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease the fighting, because he thought by not killing his real relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers. Sorry, let me move. Yeah, the son of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at the sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he was not killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individuals, persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They are individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future. Because all of us are individual souls eternally, we simply change our body dress in different manners. But actually, we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. Analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna, and this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angle of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila's Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explains it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha, the Supreme Lord, is active and he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description of the Vedas is indicated that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in material world for sense gratification. And under the spell of material energy, they are thinking of them of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragging to the last point of liberation. See, this is the point, the selfishness of being the enjoyer is this mentality is the problem. I will enjoy and I only want to enjoy. That's it. That mentality is a problem. This mentality is dragged last to the liberation when the living entity wants to become one with God. This is the last snare of Maya or sense gratification illusion. And it is only after many, many births of such sense gratification activities that the great soul surrendered unto Krishna Vasudev, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. I'll read through and then I'll explain. It's a little longer purport. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as a spiritual master by surrendering himself onto him. Shishyastaham sasi mam prapannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process in Buddhi Yoga, Karma Yoga. In other words, the practice of devotional service only for sense gratification of the Lord. So now he's going to talk about yoga. He says, just don't do karma. Do karma yoga. Karma means sakam karma. Sakam karma means I'm doing this for a result. While karma yoga means I'm doing this activity for the sake of duty and I will offer it, I will connect it with the Supreme Lord. Yoga means yuj. Yuj means connection. I will connect it with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, my activities won't remain a simple karma, but it will become karma yoga. And when it becomes karma yoga, the soldier, his activity is killing. So he connects it with the government and he kills only the terrorists. Then that same activity of killing doesn't apply to him. You're getting? In the other case where he killed his neighbor, that killing applied to him and he had to suffer by going into prison. But killing the terrorist activity is connection with the higher authority, in the highest authority of the country, right? Therefore, it doesn't remain normal activity, it becomes service. And in the other case, it becomes selfishness. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, has been direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. Okay, to connect it with the Supreme Lord, that needs to be done through devotional service. It doesn't happen that way. Okay. Now, who is therefore situated in devotional transcendence, loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means intelligent yoga by special grace of the Lord. The Lord, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendent love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion and love. In this way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. Okay, this is all very, very technical, but I'll read it. Thus, the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord. So, Krishna is saying, do yoga, Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga. And the word Sankhya mentioned here has nothing to do with atheistic Sankhya Yoga. One should not, therefore, misunderstand Sankhya Yoga mentioned here as any connection with the atheistic Sankhya. So there is this philosophy called as Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy means Sankhya. Sankhya means to count. Okay. Now in the modern times, there was some Kapila philosopher, maybe 1,000, 2,000 years ago, and he wrote this Sankhya philosophy. But that is not the original Sankhya philosophy. The original Sankhya philosophy is written in Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Kapila. Okay, there is where the connection with the Lord is more important. So the atheistic one says there is no need to connect. Just do your duty. Don't worry about anything else. Okay, but that doesn't work that way. We should connect it with the Lord. Nor did that philosophy have any influence during the time, nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculation. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topics here. Here, Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Bhakti Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna Sankhya and Lord Kapila Sankhya, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Of course, atheistic Sankhya has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet the intelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred in the Bhagavad Gita. So there is this philosophical conflict that is going on, that the recent Sankhya philosophy that people generally read is not the same as what is explained in Bhagavad Gita. So that is one point. We should therefore understand that the Bhakti Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness. So first thing is that you don't give up your duty. You need to work. Okay. But perform that duty in yoga, connected with the Supreme. Under the higher authority, you are always protected. Like, in America, when somebody breaks the speed rule, then the police have to catch him and they are after him chasing. And suppose that guy is driving at 100 miles per hour, at what speed the police will be able to catch? If I ask you, the criminal is driving at 100 miles per hour. At what speed should the police vehicle be to catch the thief?
Same or a greater speed.
Greater speed, right? Now the rule says that if you're greater than 60, then you're breaking the law. So the criminal broke it by 100, and the police will also drive at 110. Now who is breaking the law?
Both of them.
But why is the police not being charged? The police gives the ticket to the criminal, puts him into jail, but they themselves never go. Why?
Because that's their duty. They are giving service and they are catching hold of the.
Activity is connected to the justice department, to the justice of that, to the laws of that country. Getting? It's connected. So their activity is not as on the same level as the activity of the criminal. Even though externally it looks the same. He is also driving 100, the police car is also driving 100. Externally it looks the same, but internally it is the fault of the criminal, not of the policeman. The criminal cannot say, see, I was driving 100, but this policeman, he was driving 110. So you catch him first. He cannot say like that. Because his duty is to uphold the law, right? And catch the criminal. So this is what Krishna is saying. Whatever you do, that duty, if you connect it with the Supreme Lord, then the reactions and bondages won't come. You're a free man. So Arjuna was worried, I will kill. So after killing anybody, one gets a severe sinful reaction. So Krishna says, if you connect it with the Supreme Lord, then this killing won't have any reaction. It will be like any, the soldier is not punished by the king. If the soldier kills people in the battlefield, he was supposed to go and do that thing. So he's trying to explain Arjuna that what you are thinking is not right. You are thinking not to perform duty. You are thinking they should kill you. You should not kill them. So Krishna is explaining Arjuna. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself, without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive activities, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving results in terms of family or material happiness. See, there's a difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive activities. Work for selfishness. The criminal was driving at 100 for his selfish motive, and the policeman was also driving 100. But for what? To uphold the law under the authority of the government. He could go beyond the law of the nation. Getting? Especially in the matter of sense gratification results in okay. Buddhi yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform. So, what is the quality of our work? Where it is connected, for what purpose it is, that is more important than just the performance of the work. नेह विक्रमनाशोस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमपि यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and little advancement on this path can protect one from the dangerous type of fear. So, one who is working in Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga, there is no loss. Interesting, na? In other, if you're working for selfishness, then there is profit and then there is loss also. There is profit or there is loss. But if you work for Krishna, then externally also one may fail, but it is not a failure. It's interesting, right? So that is the power of yoga. Yoga doesn't mean the exercises, okay? That is yoga asanas and pranayamas. What I'm telling you is yoga is the it is the consciousness behind with which one does his activity. And where does he connect to? Does he connect to his own selfish desire, or he connects it with the supreme law? That differentiates it into yoga. Okay. Even as acting Krishna consciousness, acting for benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, and no one can, and nor can the small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed. Otherwise, the whole attempt becomes a failure. Like you are trying for CS degree. You have to get the 3 groups pass. Then only they'll award you CS degree, right?
Yes.
but see this working in Krishna consciousness, working for Krishna, even if it's not completely done, still it is very glorious. And I have given this example. Let me check if this example exists.
But getting no results and not being selfish, isn't that not sustainable in today's world?
Let's not talk about sustainability for the time being. Let's first understand what it means. So here I'm giving example of Jatayu. Jatayu in Ramayana tried to save Sita from Ravan. And Ravan killed him. In spite of the failure, Lord Ram came and, in his final moments, he gave liberation to Jatayu. So Jatayu was a vulture. So activities which are connected to Krishna, even if they are failure, he technically failed in his activity, right? He technically failed in his mission. So even with the failure, he was glorious. Therefore, his activity is in yoga. It is not a normal activity. It's in yoga. Now, coming back to your question, but before that, let me finish this and then I'll. Even a small beginning on such activity has no impediment. Okay. So what I'm talking is, even if a spiritual activity, if it's externally, it may be a failure and it will be incomplete. Still, there is no loss. In the next life, one will start from where they have stopped. But in the next life, one has to start again with A, B, C, D, English language, Hindi, this, that. But in case of spiritual activity, they don't start where they from zero. They start from where they had left. So that part we need to understand, that if we connect our activity, so one is material duty, another one is spiritual duty. Okay, both we have to connect to Krishna. Hmm? Both we have to connect to Krishna. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is not at loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna's conscious bears permanent result. So in the next beginning, it is from the point of 2%. You won't start from 1%, you will start from 2%. Whereas in the material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. Ajamil performed his duty to some percentage in Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100% by the grace of Lord. There is a nice verse in this connection. If someone gives up occupational duties and work in Krishna consciousness, then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? So, see, if you check this line, you'll understand what it means. What one can gain if one performs his material activity perfectly? Meaning, it is not the goal to, it is not so important, or let's put it like this. Even if one performs his material activity perfectly, it is still not success. So Krishna is changing the definition of success. He's saying success is what is done for Krishna, and failure is when one does it for himself. And even in Jatayu's failure, he says this is success. It is not a failure. So in this regard, in the Christian religion, it is said, what profit a man if he gains the whole world yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So again, coming back to the soul is very important, because we have to spiritualize our activity. We have to spiritualize our activity. We shouldn't be on the material platform and performing our material duty also. So our soul should be ultimately benefiting from that, from any material activity also that we do. Okay. Now, whether that material activity brings us success or failure or whatever, it doesn't matter. But it should ultimately benefit us spiritually. How and all that? You can think of the example of Jatayu. His activity was that he had to fight. And fighting, he lost. And even though he lost, Ram didn't say, oh, you lost. Yeah? Ram didn't say you lost. Ram said, thank you for doing this for me. Material activities and the result end with the body. Now I was talking, even if we do material activity perfectly right, it has one problem. It ends with the body. Body gaya, kaam khatam. Next life again start with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But spirituality is not like that. You start from where you had stopped. So Bhagavad Gita is giving this perspective, and Krishna is giving this perspective to Arjuna. There is material duty that you have to perform, but don't forget the spiritual duty also. But work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance of next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of great cultured Brahmana or in the rich aristocratic family. That will give one a further chance for elevation. This is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Now, interesting point is, okay. See, the soul can take any of this body, either human being or animals, aquatics, or anything. Depending on his karma and his spiritual consciousness, the next body is decided. So Krishna is saying, know this knowledge and then do your activity. Not that just do your activity. No, this knowledge is important. This knowledge should help you to elevate. And human body is the only form where you can do spirituality. So if you have to guarantee next life also spirituality, then you have to work in Krishna consciousness. Then you have to perform spiritual activities also. Okay, with your material duties. And if somebody is only thinking about material duties, then that person is selfish. Therefore, Krishna says, don't be so much attached over there. Just do your duty and things will come. Most of the time, hard work gives good results. It is not otherwise, right? So do your duty and it will give result. But when the body ends, everything ends. If somebody earns in this world 100 crores, the day he dies, he loses all that 100 crores. Right?
Yes,
Therefore,
yes.
yeah, therefore we should be balanced in our approach. In our approach, you should be balanced. So the last point is that spiritual activity will guarantee the next life to be human being, to be in a good family. Good family doesn't mean rich family. Good family means it is cultured Brahmana family or rich aristocratic family where one gets a chance for elevation. What is that elevation they're talking about? Spiritual elevation. Okay. Where one gets chance of spiritual progress. We are it's 2 p.m. So we are out of time. Any questions, comments?
No, sir. No, none.
Okay. Okay. So so last comment is that Krishna is not just talking about material duties. Okay. Krishna is saying spiritualize your material duty. There is a possibility of doing that when you connect it with Krishna. And the later part of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Krishna to Arjuna, you kill them for me, and I will protect you from sinful reaction, from next life, and all that. So that is the key point. Okay.
Yes, yes. Yes.
So